The latest victims of Donald Trump's killing spree are yet again the people who put him in power.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
And what Trump has done to these Kansas wheat farmers is projected to not only kill people here at home, but around the globe as well, making this old clip of Trump eerily prophetic.
And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
But it seems like that loyalty has finally run out, because shooting someone on Fifth Ave is far different from signing the death warrants of millions. And folks, this is on top of what Trump has already done with his murder bill and the flooding in Texas. And if you want to stop the senseless killing of innocents, there is a little bit of hope at the end of this story. So I implore you to stick around, drop a like so more people see this, and join our resistance by subscribing to the Really American channel. And frankly, even maggots should be mad at this, because it's anything but America first. Wheat grows so prodigiously here on the Kansas High Plains that in 1953, the surplus birthed one of the Cold War's biggest ideas: Food for Peace, a federal government program that delivered the excess bounty to a hungry post-war world. Conceived by a Kansas farmer and created by President Dwight D Eisenhower, Food for Peace has sent burlap sacks of grain stamped from the American people to more than 4 billion people in 150 countries around the world.
Houston, Texas. A warehouse holds a symbol of hope, as simple as it is iconic. It was born during World War I and served through both wars. Filled by American farmers, it fortified our allies, and when the smoke cleared, it assured our enemies that the fighting was over. Since 1954, this bag has served as the symbol for the United States food assistance around the world. In the aftermath of war, it would rebuild. It would intervene when famine threatened. And when great droughts came, it would be airdropped, trucked, and carted wherever it was needed.
Now, it's effectively dead. And I'll give you 2 guesses for the 2 bozos we have to blame for that.
I love Tesla.
Congratulations, you were right. The program was administered by the U.S. Agency for International Development, which Elon Musk fed into the wood chipper on a weekend in February. Even Kansas's Republican lawmakers tried to save it, but failed to persuade President Trump, who last month proposed cutting the entire 2026 budget for Food for Peace, as well as another food aid program dear to Kansas, the McGovern-Dole International Food for Education and Child Nutrition Program. Because the Republican slogan is pro-life until they're out of the womb, and then f*** them kids.
Mr. President, I have yet to meet a person in Minnesota that is hungry. Yet today. I have yet to meet a person in Minnesota that says they don't have access to enough food to eat. Now, I should say that hunger is a relative term, Mr. President. You know, I had a cereal bar for breakfast. I guess I'm hungry now.
Trump, of course, claimed that the programs were inefficient and wasteful with dubious results. But try telling that to farmers, particularly in Kansas, where about 80% of those on High Plains voted for Mr. Trump, and agriculture makes up half of the state's economy. And of course, the president's whipsawing tariffs and cuts to agriculture grants and global food aid have left the state with swollen silos, shrinking markets, and volatile food prices for crops. And despite Kansas overwhelmingly voting for this mandate, lawmakers from other states with human empathy have been trying to stop this for months.
Mr. Chairman, my amendment increases this resolution's budget authority to ensure the continuation of the in-kind assistance at USAID. I offer this amendment because in this administration's attempt to shut down USAID, it froze a very important program that many of our farmers rely on, the Food for Peace program. A move that turned out to be disastrous, not just abroad, but here at home. The freeze caused a wide-ranging damage, not just on the needy, but also on American producers. When I say this, I mean, as we speak, $489 million worth of food assistance is currently sitting at the ports, in transit, and in warehouses. That's food that could feed 36 million people around the world. Instead, it's just sitting and it's rotting. Moreover, we also harmed ourselves with this mood. In its relief efforts, USAID spends $2 billion annually buying American-grown food. That's a market that producers rely on. In my home state of California, 37 large-scale operations fulfill direct orders for humanitarian food assistance. Yet farmers across the country are now debating whether or not to buy seed for the next growing season.
And rightfully so. I mean, this program has done wonders for people across the globe and at home. Even back when it was founded, the program distributed $76 million in agricultural products in its first 6 months to Bolivia, Germany, Haiti, Honduras, Italy, Libya, Nepal, Pakistan, Yugoslavia, and Vietnam. Half of those shipments were wheat and wheat flour. And the program was a hit at home. In 1963, the United States issued a Food for Peace postage stamp emblazoned with the slogan, "Freedom from Hunger." And this is nothing new for Republicans. They have voted against programs that would support child and world hunger for years. So it really boggles my mind when these fucking idiots who voted for this stuff start to have regrets like this next guy. Meet Vance and Louise Emke. They are the proprietors of MK Seed, a 14,000-acre operation near Healy, the heart of the High Plains. This passage is incredible. The past several years have been difficult for Kansas's farmers, battered by drought, escalating machinery and supply prices, and steeper competition from overseas. Mr. MK is a registered Republican and says that for a Kansas farmer, quote, changing how you vote is honest to God like changing your religion. But America's farm sector is already shrinking, and he says Mr. Trump's moves are bringing that bleak future to pass a hell of a lot quicker, so I'm pissed at him. Here's where things get interesting. Mrs. Emke is a Democrat. She attended Senator Roger Marshall's town hall in March and asked what he would do to save food for peace. Mr. Marshall echoed Mr. Musk's claims that USAID was rife with, quote, waste, fraud, and abuse, and said that we're sending food over to these foreign countries and corrupt governments and criminals and warlords were stealing it. The crowd jeered. Mr. Marshall's answer incensed Mrs. Emke. She said, show me the data, Roger Marshall, about waste, fraud, and abuse and warlords. This is my living at stake. What is your plan? Nick Lewandowski, the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union, has been lobbying to preserve the food programs, but when he speaks publicly, he often gets responses from people saying farmers' troubles are their own fault. Quote, Trump's tariffs badly injured Kansas farmers in his first term, and your members were stupid enough to vote for him again in 2020 and 2024. Read one letter he received from a descendant of Kansas farmers living in Florida, adding every farm bankruptcy that comes, and come they will be a direct consequence of your members voting for the guy who already hurt them once. And in what is way too perfect a metaphor, one grain broker that previously used programs like Food for Peace is now attempting to repurpose the food that was meant for and sent to humans previously, the unused crops, for dog food. And frankly, these Kansas farmers should be happy because a few more years under Trump's dystopia and they'll be the ones going through the meat grinder to become food for the dogs. And honestly, I don't really have pity for these farmers because we told you, he told you, you knew what he was gonna do. You saw it in his first term. He doesn't give a shit about you. And all these cuts to you, to your livelihood, to your lives, to people's lives overseas that I know you don't care about because you can't see past your 40 acres or whatever. But all of that was so that he could save money to give more money to billionaires. How does that fucking feel? Matter of fact, don't even answer that question and just pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. Go turn your wheat into dog foods. This is a real opportunity for you farmers to really learn how to be innovative and find creative solutions to the problems that Donald Trump dumped on your fucking plates. Pardon the vulgarity and the anger, but I am sick and tired of these people getting to control the lives of so many others and destroy them, and then claim that they regret it, or that they didn't know, or they weren't informed enough. Wake the fuck up. Open your phone. Use Google. All right, I'm sorry, the rant is over. And look, there is one piece of good news here. a delegation in Kansas has introduced a bill to continue the USAID food program under the USDA.
Delegates are making a push to save and aid program under USAID. Senator Jerry Moran and Representative Tracy Mann each introduced legislation today to place the Food for Peace program under the USDA. This is the same program Senator Moran pushed to resume over the weekend after the president suspended USAID. Representative Mann said he supports cutting federal programs, but described Food for Peace as a fiscally and morally responsible way to bolster national security.
But again, who the fuck knows if that's going to go through? And even if it does, what about all the other programs that got cut? The irony of this being in the name of waste, fraud, and abuse when you're just going to give corporations and billionaires more money to waste, commit fraud, tax fraud, and abuse us, abuse our workforce, abuse the free trade from overseas that took all our jobs to begin with. I just don't think certain people are smart enough to vote. I don't think they should be trusted with the livelihoods of millions of billions of people. We've said it so many times on the Really American podcast and elsewhere, but the only way that any of this makes sense is if you are trying to destroy America on behalf of our enemies. And that is exactly what Donald Trump is doing, except on behalf of our enemies, it's on behalf of his wallet. So he can go and fake negotiate these trade deals and then set up a cryptocurrency so people can pay him to get influence to influence our politics. Fuck, wake up. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening to my rant if you made it this far. Thank you for your support. We can't do this without you, and we really just try to do these things to, well, for me it's cathartic, but also to try and make a better world, because holy shit, like, it feels like we're in the Twilight Zone every single day. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Kenny Hesse for Really American. Cheers, bye.